Hello everyone. This video is going to talk about plagiarism and the plagiarism assignment that is due on Saturday, November 17th. So the plagiarism assignment is the second part to the essay assignment in general. The first part was to hand in a submission for a primary source that you wanted to write about. All of those are graded now, and you'll be able to find feedback for them on your grade. If you do not have all of the points on the grade, then it is because there is something you forgot or there was something I needed clarification on. So you want to make sure that you go back and check your feedback on the grade if you don't have all of the points for it, because you will be able to resubmit with the additional things that I've asked for by Friday the 16th, and I will update your grade. So make sure that you do have a look at your primary source assignment to make sure that there's not anything that you need to do extra on that assignment. And remember, you have to have those resubmitted by Friday to get the update on your grade. But anyways, this one is about plagiarism. So there is a fantastic tutorial that is hosted by the University of Indiana, which goes through and talks about plagiarism. So to get to the assignment, if you go to the signature assignment page from the home page here, and you scroll down through the instructions, and there is the plagiarism page that you can click on there. Now this is a short just definition of plagiarism, which is to steal or pass off the ideas or words of another person as your own, to use someone's work without crediting them as the source, and it is essentially theft, and a serious offense in academia. So on this essay, if I find that you've plagiarized this essay, it will result in a 0 on the assignment. But further than that, it could result in the college taking action, being reported to the college, having them taking action. It was a few years ago that I heard a story about a woman in Germany who it was found that she plagiarized her PhD dissertation and so had her degree revoked. So it is a fairly serious offense, but I'm going to talk about how you can avoid it. So if you click the next button off of this page, then you will get to the assignment page, which will take you to the Indiana University assignment. So if you click on this link here, it will take you to that page, and specifically the page to sign up for the certification test. So you would go through here and click that you're an undergraduate college student, and then it'll ask you to create an account. Now, I understand that there have been some problems reported with getting the sort of confirmation email for the account. If you have done this before, you can use the same account that you used before. If you remember what email that you've put in, but you don't remember your password, you can do the forgot your password, and they'll send you a link to reset it. It's really easy. If you are new to this website, then you'll have to click up here to register. And so you put in an email and a password, and you fill out some demographic information, and that's pretty quick. It will take you, once you fill that out, to a page that looks like this, for you to get a confirmation email that has been sent to you. Now, I have had some reports that the confirmation email is not showing up, or it's getting lost in inboxes. Make sure that you have put your email address in correctly. That's one of the things that they have for you here. Also, you want to check your spam and your junk folders to make sure it hasn't been sent to those. And I believe the student emails at Navarro run through Google, which I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. But you can also do a search on your Google page, and you can just search for that email address as the from box, and it may pull it up because it'll look through your whole email in order to find that. If you are having problems and you can't find that confirmation email in order to go on, send me an email and we will find a workaround for that for you. But that's what you'll need to do. Once you do get registered to take a test, which I'm going to go ahead and do that there. Once you get logged in, you have that account, then you can go on and do that. You can read through the tutorial, so if you're a little sketchy on what plagiarism is, even after you've watched this video, you can go through tutorials here that will talk more in depth about it, and specifically about the two types of plagiarism that they're looking at on this test, which is word for word and paraphrasing. So it's not enough to know that a source is plagiarized. For this test, you have to know how it's being plagiarized. And so if you're a bit sketchy on that, it may be helpful to go through these tutorials. Once you've taken the tutorials, if you would like to give them an evaluation of the tutorials, you're more than welcome to do that. However, if you would rather, you can just skip directly and take a new test. The test has 10 questions on it. They are examples of student writing. So you'll be given a source, an excerpt from a source, an example of a student submission, and you will have to say whether it is plagiarized, word for word plagiarizing, paraphrase plagiarizing, or not plagiarized at all. This is basically what a question looks like for it. So there's your original source material. Here's what the student has written, and this is, you basically say if it's plagiarized or not. There's 10 questions. They all pretty much look like that. You have to answer at least 9 out of those 10 questions correctly to receive your certificate. You can take this test as many times as is necessary for you to receive that certificate. So there's not any limit as to how many times you can take it, but the test gets recycled. So the 10 questions are pulled from a larger pool of questions. So you may or may not see the same questions over again. You have a limit of 40 minutes to complete each test, which usually that is more than long enough to answer the 10 questions on there. Once you receive that certificate, or once you get your 9 out of 10, at least you will have a certificate that's displayed on the screen. And it will also send you an email containing that certificate. All I want you to do is to simply save a copy of that email certificate and upload the file to Canvas on here. So you would go and upload the file. What I would also like is in the text input box to also put your test ID and the IP address listed on the certificate. So if for some reason the file won't open and I can't view the certificate, I can always just go to the website using those 2 numbers and verify your certificate myself. That way I don't have to badger you for a new file or for more information. So just make sure that you turn in those 2 things when you do it. So that's that. So now I want to talk about plagiarism itself. So there are things that are required of you. Whenever you write an essay in academia and in history specifically, it is expected that you will draw on the writings of previous historians for inspiration and for help as you're writing, as well as for credibility for your assignments. Now, these are important to use in order to back up your arguments, but you will need to use them correctly, and that is you need to give credit to those who have written it first. So here I have an example. This is an article that's written in an academic journal, and here right at the very beginning we have some direct quotations. So here you have the sinking of the Lusitania had a more jolting effect upon American opinion than any other single event of the World War. And then a second direct quote: for most Americans, except for Southerners with long and bitter memories of Sherman's march through Georgia and the Carolinas, it was their first real introduction to total war, to war as much against civilians as against armed forces, against women and children as well as men. And so this is information. These are direct quotes pulled from another source by the author of this article. And here you have a reference. It says that this is a remark by author Link, who is the author of this source that they're referencing. And so what you want is for your readers to be able to go to that source directly and to find information about that source, or to look at the source itself as well. And so you need two things in order for a source to be considered not plagiarized. The first thing that you need in order for your source to not be plagiarized is a reference in the text that you are using someone else's source. The most common way that you're probably familiar with is a parenthetical citation, where you would write in parentheses at the end of your sentence, link, 2010, or something like that, depending on which style you're using to write your citations. What this person is using, what you'll find most often in academic journals, are footnotes. So if you look here at the superscript 1, that is a footnote, or actually in this case an endnote, which references a note at the end of the article. So if we go to page 23, which is where the endnotes start, you can see here that little number 1 and the full citation. Arthur Link, Wilson, The Struggle for Neutrality, 1914 to 1915. This is the page number that the quote was pulled on. It says a version of this article was presented at the 25th anniversary celebration. And there are other information. But that is the full citation. So that's the second thing that you need. The first was an indication in your text for when you're using someone else's idea. And the second is a full citation of the source, the original source of that idea. And that can be either in a bibliography, a works cited page, or you can use endnotes or footnotes like this author has done. Another thing that you'll want to note in this quotation here is that this person is directly quoting their source. And so another thing that's important here is that anytime you're using a direct quotation, you have to also use quotation marks around the quote. If you use a direct quotation and don't use quotation marks, even if you've cited the source with the footnote and a full citation later, or a parenthetical citation and a full citation in bibliography, even if you've done both of those things, but your direct quote is not in quotation marks, it can still be considered plagiarism. And that is the distinction they're making on the quiz that you're taking. Word for word plagiarism versus paraphrase plagiarism. Word for word plagiarism is when you take their actual words and you use them without acknowledging that those are their actual words. And that is even if you cite it the rest of the way. If you don't acknowledge it as a direct quotation, it is still considered word for word plagiarism. So you want to watch out for that. Now, there are, of course, instances where there are things that you would consider common knowledge that is not necessary to cite your information on. So for example, if you were to say the First World War was fought between 1914 and 1918, that's common knowledge. You don't need to cite a source for that information because nobody's going to really question you on that. If you're making a claim, like this one is here, the sinking of Lusitania had a more jolting effect upon American opinion than any other single event of the war, that's not common knowledge. That is a argument that this particular academic is making about this topic. And so that definitely needs a citation in this case. So those are the main things that you need. You need an in-text citation, either parenthetical or a footnote citation. You need a full citation, either in footnotes, endnotes, or in a bibliography that's separate. And if you're using a direct quote, you have to have quotation marks. If you don't tick all of those boxes, then your work is possibly plagiarized. So as you're going through these examples on these tests, you want to make sure that you look for all of those things. So this has been a fairly quick run through of plagiarism. If you have any questions about it, or if you're really struggling on this certification test, send me an email and let me know. And I will do my best to help you as far as that goes. You can also, again, like I say, use the tutorials on here if you have any further questions, as those go into more detail as far as recognizing different types of plagiarism and how to avoid it. So you're more than welcome to use these too. But if you have any questions, please email me and let me know, and I will do my best to answer them for you. Excuse me. So this assignment is due on Saturday, November 17th. That means you have a little less than a week to get in and complete that. If you're having trouble, again, finding your confirmation email for your account, also please let me know about that, and I have a workaround for you. But otherwise, you want to make sure that as you're looking for that you're searching for that email as the easiest way to find it. Just do a search of your entire email, searching for that email address, pedagogy@indiana.edu, that they give you on that screen. So that is plagiarism in a nutshell. The next video that I do about the essay, we'll talk about the actual writing of the essay itself. As always, if you have any questions about this or any other material in the class, please feel free to email me, and I will see you next time. Thanks.